idea what kind of podcast we're in for today. You're tired. My stomach hurts. The news is weird. I don't know. This might be one of those extra loopy Rage Select podcasts. Like everybody just done a bunch of whippets, and we're all over the place. Be a lot of tangents and stuff. Who knows?
Well, as long as none of us start devolving into like saying snarf or smurf or whatever combination of word that the 80s cartoons used to use, I think we'll be fine.
That's you, motherfucker. I don't devolve into saying horrible shit. Anyway.
Like how snarf is horrible shit for you.
Snarf is horrible shit. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And, yeah.
Almost got away with it. Almost got away with it.
Come right through this Discord screen right at you. Yeah. So... yeah, we got a bunch of news. I actually tried as hard as I could, but there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened this week. But before we get to that, I know the burning question that is on the internet's mind. I know I can psychically reach through the void and make a mental Charles Xavier connection to all of the fans and the listeners of Rage Select, and I know that they're all just yelling the same thing in the future into their phones. They're just saying, Jeff, what did you think of Black Widow, Jeff? I gotta know. I gotta know.
I still haven't seen it.
It was all right. It was fine.
That's everyone's reaction. Like I haven't met anybody who didn't just go, "It's fine."
Well,
it happened.
Here's the thing. I've talked a lot before about how, like, I think that it used to be. Let's just do a quick round, not a long one, not a really in depth. Let's do a really quick round of like, things aren't the same as they used to be. Like, when the first phase came out, it was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before. In phase 2, there was a lot of development where you started to see all these different movies cross over in a way you've never seen before. Like phase 3 was definitely setting up for Infinity War, and you were getting even more, you're getting new characters, you were getting new plot lines, and you were seeing like how they tied in. I mean, for God's sake, fucking Doctor Strange has a 15-minute scene in the last Thor movie that also happens to have fucking Jeff Goldblum in it, for God's sake. Like, there was a lot of weird stuff going on, and like the new Black Widow, it's fine. I liked it. There were kind of two parts to it, and I feel like I'm starting to see this with a lot of Marvel, and it might be something that starts to just get on my nerves about Marvel, that like the first 2/3 of the movie were very kind of spy, Jason Bourne, like we're, the Americans, we're backstorying it up, we're getting people together. And then they got to the end and it was this big fucking CGI punching people fest. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I feel like, Michael, it happens in every single Marvel property where it feels like there's this one movie over here that's pretty cool in its own way, and then there's this increasingly less effective big action scene at the end. And that
that happens for a long time. Like I think the one that people bring up the most is the Winter Soldier's climax, because the Winter Soldier in the beginning is this great like spy thriller. And then at the third act, they're like, "We're gonna blow up everything."
Right,
and then
right.
It just goes from there. Because it's just like, what the fuck happened? Like, it's just, it changes gears. But that was, I know the Russos were like, that was kind of just forced on us. Like, we kind of had, like, that's just apparently their thing.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, like, all Marvel movies are just like third act insanity, like, every time.
Yeah, because when I go back and rewatch the Winter Soldier, when I want to watch the action parts, I watch the whole like car overpass scene. Like, I don't watch the end part. I watch that part because that was like the better part. And I remember like WandaVision devolved into the big CGI fight at the end, and it was like, so I don't know. Like, I like this stuff. I don't know. Here's a good question. You finished watching Loki. Does Loki devolve into a giant CGI? I haven't gotten the last episode yet. Don't spoil anything for me, but like,
honestly, the second to last one has the most CGI in it. With which I'm not going to say why, but if you've seen the episode, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas the last episode, it's a lot of talking, actually.
Okay.
For the most part. There's like one fight scene in it, but even then, there's only like a little bit of CGI in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to explain why, but like it's not really all that long either. But it ends kind of on a cliffhanger kind of thing, because they did announce that Loki is going to come back for season 2.
Yeah.
So that's really the only like downside when it comes to that third act. But I really liked it because the implications of like what it means for the Marvel universe, like at the end of that season, is like it's huge. And if I explained any of it, it would like give away so much. But it's like fuck.
Okay, well that's good because I mean even the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, right, turned into the goofy. They were in the cars and the cars are blowing up. And Sam's got the suit on, and it kind of just. I mean, like I don't know. I guess it like I you know when you read the comics, or I guess okay. Here I'm trying to get my thoughts together because I'm on too much Pepto Bismol, which everybody knows affects your ability to think and talk. So like it used to be that action was really easy, right? Like you looked at what was the coolest action movie that came out last year? We got to do better than that. We got to have a better sequence than that. But the Marvel stuff, it feels like they're kind of phoning in the action in some of these movies a little bit. Like, I mean, my God,
It depends on the movie.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
Like I couldn't tell you like what happened. I mean, I only saw it once, but I couldn't tell you like I could describe to you like the individual fight scenes of my favorites, right? Like Guardians and Thor Ragnarok, like Winter Soldier, even Endgame. You know, they were very striking. Like the fight choreography was really good, and everything was really really striking. But then you get to like Spider-Man: Far From Home, and like I don't really remember like when he's fighting Mysterio at the end, like.
It's a weird one.
What's the thing? Or like at the end of Captain Marvel, she's just kind of like blowing up those ships, right? She's just kind of zooming through the ships and blowing them up. And I don't know. Some of these Ant-Man, I feel like sometimes kind of gets into that same thing. The first one had the fight, you know, where they were in the kids' room on the train tracks, and that was pretty cool.
That fight's great.
Yeah.
But only because it's very creative with its jokes with it too.
But then, Michael, I can't even remember what the big fight was at the end of the second Ant-Man movie. Like, I don't even...
I remember one specific thing that happens in it, but I don't remember the actual, like, fight itself, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess the thing is, I feel like they maybe need to... maybe my come away from this is that I feel like they need to spend more time coming up with more clever action than just the, like... Mad Libs thrilling by the book explosions part, because the rest of the movie I really liked. I love the dynamic between the four leads. Like they were all great. It's just that when it got to the end, it ended up being this kind of like running around, punching people, stuff is blowing up, and it was like, you know, I don't know. I watched the Red Letter Media review of it today, and or yesterday, and I think you came over to record. I was like, hey, Michael, guess what? Jay and Mike were bored by a Marvel movie. Stop the presses. But I kind of...
I would have been more shocked if they liked it more than anybody else.
Yeah, but I kind of see where they're coming from, where some of the stuff... Like, one of the reasons Doctor Strange is one of my favorite of the Marvel movies is because the ending fight is it's not a fight. It's a battle of wills with words, right? Like, it's not...
It had probably one of my favorite endings for a while because of it. Because I was expecting a huge CGI fight with Dormammu.
Yeah.
But at the end, he's just like, keep fucking around, and you know you're gonna be stuck here forever, same way I am.
Yeah.
And Dormammu was just like, I'm fucking tired of this shit. Like, stop it. Stop using your Game Shark. You're cheating.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was okay. I definitely think I actually for the first time shelled out the entire $30 American to buy that thing, like on the early access. Mostly so
I've
that
considered it.
My parents could watch it because I know that they want to, and they'll make all the excuses in the world not to spend the money on something when they really want it, and $30 isn't a lot of money to them, and they can totally handle it, and they'll just be like, we'll watch it in October, even though we really really want to watch it. It's just like, hey, come on, guys, be millennials for a change and fucking splurge. Like, treat yourself, parents. But, well, let's see. Anything else that you've been up to before we jump into the news?
They finally started releasing Wellington Paranormal in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was really excited about because I've been wanting to watch that since they made that show before they even made the actual What We Do in the Shadow show.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody doesn't know what Wellington Paranormal is, it's a spin-off of the two cops from the original What We Do in the Shadows movie, like dealing with different paranormal things. And it aired in New Zealand like 2 years ago. And so it never came out in America. It used to all be on YouTube for a long time. And when I finally decided to watch it, they took it down literally the next day.
Sons of bitches.
I was so upset. So I saw the first one originally, and so I wanted to see more of it. And so the CW picked it up for some reason, CW. But what it is that every time they air it, the next day on HBO Max, they add whatever was aired. And so they air 2 of the episodes, the first and the second one. So it was the first time I ever saw the second one. And it is just as funny as I was hoping. It's just as funny as I remember that first one being.
Cool.
If you liked What We Do in the Shadows at all, like either the movie or the show, you'll really like the Wellington Paranormal a lot. Like it involves 3 characters specifically. The chief of police, who gives them their job, who gives them like the different paranormal things, because he has a secret office that like has a keypad. And my favorite part,
the pin number,
is the pin number part, because he just hits it and they're just like, it's just 5. He's like, no, there's more numbers. Beep boop, beep boop boop. Code accepted or whatever. And they're just like staring at him.
I love
the second one. He does it again, which makes it twice as. It's just I love it. I love every fucking like ridiculousness that goes on in that show.
I love when he goes into the office and he's like telling them that the paranormal exists, and he's like, "Here's a picture of a ghost that my brother drew," and they're just like, okay."
Here's a UFO. I think that's a hubcap, sir. Well, what do you think? I think it's a hubcap. What the hell do you guys think? Who cares what you guys think?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's great, guys. It's
good.
really funny.
I need to watch more of it. I'm going to let them build up a little bit. That way I can binge them all at once. Well, speaking of binging, let us binge the news.
Yeah.
It's funny. I kind of wonder what this week would have been like if today, the day we're recording this, there wasn't this kind of huge announcement from Valve.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. So Valve announced that they are they're putting out this thing called Steam Deck. This is so Michael, I don't know if you know this. This might be good for the listeners, because I keep up with this stuff with a little bit of the portable stuff. But do you know that like there are a shitload of companies right now that are making Switch knockoffs, like, and not like bad Switch knockoffs, like it's an integrated screen and the controls on both sides, and it's got a nice screen. They usually have some kind of like mobile ARM processor in them. They're usually good for like emulating old games, and they'll usually do kind of like what a Raspberry Pi can do, right? Like, so for NES or all the way up to like maybe early PSX era, depending on the thing. And there were a lot of them. Like, I watch reviews of them on YouTube all the time, and I constantly go, I should buy one of those. And I'm like, don't, Jeff. You're just not going to – you're going to buy it. You're going to bring it home. You're going to use it for one day and be like, cool. And then you're just going to put it on your shelf next to your PSVR and your other Raspberry Pi, and you're never going to pick it up again. But Valve is getting in the game. So they have made this thing. I don't think it's uncharitable to be like, this is – fucking this is a Switch, but it's a PC. It's a PC version of a Nintendo Switch. It's a little bigger.
Oh, absolutely.
It's beefier, and it runs like a full PC architecture. It's running Valve's custom, what is it called, like Proton, I believe, OS, which is that what it's called? I was looking it up earlier.
I'm not sure, but like it's one of those things that everybody keeps talking about, because it's like, well, you can install like Windows and stuff too, because it's just it is a PC again. Yeah. Inside of this thing.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the outside. Like, okay, imagine a Switch and then blow it up by like 20%. The sides don't come off, so it doesn't have removable Joy-Cons, but it does have kind of a tapered backing. It's got R1, R2. It's got 4 buttons on the back as well. It's got the D-pad, X, Y, A, B, shoulder buttons. The analog sticks are like really high up. Like the whole thing is meant for you to kind of hold all the controls like at the top and then kind of have it hanging down in your hands. If you look at it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's kind of like the Pro controller to the Wii U. The way those were like laid out, like the thumbsticks on the very top. Like, if you guys are wondering, that's what it does.
And the reason for that is because below each thumbstick is a thumb-sized touchpad that you can use to move around a mouse if you're using a mouse-compatible game. It's got, it's got some vents. It's got some speakers. It's apparently got enough of a battery that it'll last they even say in the, because apparently a lot of tech folks got their hands on this. They got to go to a little event, but it'll last a couple hours doing like full on 3D games. It'll last, they say it'll last up to 7 or 8 hours doing like 2D games or emulator games or things like that, like light stuff, but stuff that's using the 3D. It's not going to be made for like a gajillion hours worth of time. It's running Steam's custom Linux version, but that means that it can run a whole bunch of, because this Proton OS or whatever the hell it's called, I can't remember if that's what it is like built on Wine from Linux. So it's literally like made to run Windows games on this Linux kernel. Apparently, like the whole UI and everything is real slick out of the box. It's really easy. It connects to your Steam library. It's a big chonker. He's a big boy. This one. They show this picture. I guess it doesn't help them. We're on the Steam Deck page right now. They've got a picture of, I don't know, is that like a teenager or something? A small lady holding.
I'm not sure.
But it also has a dock. You can dock it. You can plug it into television to get output. There's a really weird, I don't know if this is from like some of their like press materials, but they're on this Polygon article. They show this unit like sitting on like a dock on a table, and then two people have like full-sized fighting game 6 buttons, the big going to Evo controllers hooked up to it, and they're playing like Guilty Gear or something on it. So yeah. Now here's the thing. Here's what it is. This is the thing. It's a Valve product, so I know that the next question is like, well, so how much does this thing cost? And it comes in 3 flavors. There's a 64 gigabyte eMMC internal storage version for $399. For $529, there's a 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and then for $649, there's a 512 gig NVMe SSD. The rest is bullshit. It's bullshit. There's what for $650 you get an exclusive virtual keyboard theme, Michael. Ooh, like
okay.
Huzzah.
A carrying case.
Yeah.
Whatever anti-glare etched glass means.
Fucking whatever. And this
community profile bundle is the thing that's just like, come on, guys, really? And
this thing is shipping in December of 2021. So yeah, that's the basics. Let's do a few more just like facts here. As you said, you can basically just install whatever OS you want on this. So you can't just straight up install Windows on it. It's built to run with this Steam OS, but they're not going to stop people from putting their other stuff in it. So almost immediately somebody will put Linux with the emulation station stuff on there. Okay. What do we think? What are your thoughts, Michael? I've been going on for a little while here.
It reminds me of it reminds me of the idea that like people think that something that runs a lot better will be a better idea, but the fact is that the power, it always comes down to the power. It's like the Sega Game Gear kind of thing. Like it was stronger than the Game Boy, had all like the stuff that was better than Game Boy, but it only lasted like an hour on like any fucking battery kind of thing. And so if this is like trying to taunt the whole like, oh, you can play Control and all these things, but it's like, but it only lasts like a couple hours. It comes down to really just like how portable is it really at the end of the day,
right? Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting proposition because the Switch, as you said, the Switch does have good battery life. The Switch is also I don't know. It like the Joy-Con stuff in the Switch is nice because you could take them off. You can give a person one controller. You have the kind of 2 controllers built in for sharing. It's thinner, lighter. The weird thing about this though is that I'm just not sure how big of a market these things are. Like it's entirely possible that Steam looked at like the amount of money that's being made by like these Chinese knockoff Switch PC emulator things that are being sold, and they were like, well, fuck's sake, we sell $1,000 VR headsets. We know our customers have money to spare. Sell them a Switch. Fucking make a Switch. I'm Gabe Newell. Make a Nintendo Switch that'll run Control and sell it to these idiots. They'll pay $650 for fucking one of these things.
I'm curious as to how long they'll last too. Like, it's one of those things where a lot of people are flaunting the fact that, oh, this could be like a really good buy-in to gaming because it's a gaming PC essentially, and you could, since you can add anything to it, you could just add Game Pass to the goddamn thing.
Yep. Yeah.
And then just go from there. But like, it still comes down to the fact that like, how many people, like, realistically are going to want to get this? Because that's the main thing, is that the reason the Switch works so well money-wise, and I don't mean like for like, like it's a great system or something. The fact that it sells so well is that like the general public loves it because they don't know half of what this shit means.
Yeah. Kind
of thing. Like, that's the thing, is like, is Steam going to be able to get that market in any way? And I don't think they're going to. And I don't mean that to be mean. It's just that I mean that more into the fact that like, I barely understand what half of this shit means, kind of thing. And I own every fucking system. So it's just like, the general public's going to have no idea what to do with this thing.
Yeah, I agree. That could be a problem. I mean, you know what, though? This is just like, look, this is specialist stuff for the PC Master Race folks are getting their own console, right? Like,
yes,
people that bought the NVIDIA Shield or the Steam Link or the Steam controller, like, there are a lot of people that are really, really big fans of Valve and Steam and the whole Steam architecture. And for those people, I'm sure that this will probably be a good purchase for them.
This is just for them, I really think, is what it comes down to. Like, this is the PC Master Race's Game Boy.
Well, here's the thing. If they really want this to be a general, what I would be really right now, you could totally pre-order this through Steam. But like, if they want this to be a thing, one of the problems that I feel like Steam has with some of this hardware stuff is like, I need to be able to go to Best Buy and buy a Steam Link or a Steam controller, right? Like, I don't want to order my controller through the fucking EA Origin store. Like, I want to order it. I want to go to the store with the technology and buy it from the technology store. So like, if these things are at retailers, I went to Best Buy last week and I ended up walking out with an Oculus Quest 2 because I wanted one, and I kind of was looking at them and they had one there, and I was like, you know what? Just give it to me. Let me check it out. So the thing is that if I was to go to Best Buy and, return a bad laptop that didn't work and then had $400 sitting on my credit card and was like, oh, look, it's that dumb Steam thing, let me impulse buy this. Sure. But I don't want to have to sign up to pre-order for the open slot. Like, I want to walk into a store and buy one. Like, that's what I want to do. And that's, I think, probably the thing that would put this front and center in the minds of the modern consumer would be, can you go to a Target and buy one? Because fucking mom is not going to pre-order one of these on Steam for Christmas, right? Like,
no, yeah, they don't know what to do. And like, the OLED Switch just went for pre-order today and is already completely sold out again.
Oh, sure. I mean, every Switch is already sold out.
Yeah. But it was the thing where people were like, people aren't going to want to buy that. It's like, well, they did.
Yep.
Because normal fucking people don't give a shit about anything involving 4K.
It's also another one of those things where, I'm not knocking this thing. Like, if you gave me one of these, I would totally play it. Like,
well, I'm not so much knocking it so much as I'm like, people are putting too much like oomph to it, if that makes sense. Like, they're putting it too like high on the pedestal, like,
sure,
it'll completely fuck everyone kind of thing. It's like, no, it's just another console and we'll see how it plays out, because not every new console works out, especially handheld. Handheld is the hardest market to get into, especially now because of cell phones and iPads and all that stuff.
Yeah, go ask.
Like, we saw what happened to the Vita.
Yeah,
saw what happened to fucking
the PSP.
Yeah, anything that like any other person who's ever come in. Like I mentioned, the Sega Game Gear is a good example of that. Like, that was when the market was easier to get into, but the Game Boy still beat all of their asses, even though it was severely underpowered compared to the rest of those attempts.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, again, the other thing is, I would like to get my hands on this because, god damn, did they put the buttons of the D-pad way far on the edge. They're right on the edge.
Really far up there.
Like, I would just need to see, because it feels like if you were playing just like an emulator game, right? You want to play with the D-pad and the buttons, that you could end up cramping your hands because you'd have to rotate them out so far to maintain constant pressure on those control surfaces. Yeah. But I don't know. Interesting. It's an interesting thing. It's interesting. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Apparently, Gabe Newell had a little basically, there was a little interview with him where he was talking about how, like, he described the price as kind of painful. They wanted to get the price down as far as humanly possible, which I guess, again, kind of, like the 64 gig, like, starter model. Not that you're going to be playing this, but I was messing around trying to get Half-Life Alyx to run on my PC today. Half-Life Alyx has a 50 gigabyte install. Like, there are PC games like Hitman that have a gargantuan install. So,
well, that's the thing. It's like the Switch is made. Whenever the Switch is that low, it makes sense because a lot of their games aren't that big.
Yeah.
But like, if you're playing games that are PC related, yeah, you're gonna need some big fucking data. And
there is an expansion slot for a micro SD card, so there is that. But
that's probably what they're hoping on, because the 64 gigs for like anything, or not anything, but a lot of the bigger things on there will fit like maybe 1 or 2 games at most.
Yeah.
At most.
Yep. Well, speaking of Steam, we got direct confirmation this week that your favorite game and mine, Super Robot Wars 30, is coming to Steam in America for realsies. No VPNs. Look, Ma, no VPNs. And that was combined with a new big extendo trailer that showed off so many mechs, and Gridman, who is not a mech, and I know that because I hang around Matt Fright too much.
I'm really excited, though, because a lot of what's really fun about the Super Robot Wars series is seeing different anime characters like interact with each other.
Yeah,
especially like ones from the same series, because they have like different things. Like there was a for one of them, it was Setsua from Gundam 00, meaning Hero Yui, and the hero being kind of weirded out by the fact that he's like, I'm Gundam, but he's just like, okay then, like shit like that. Like I love when like you do stuff with that, and I'm really happy that finally like we can finally support games like this here in America.
Yeah.
Instead of having to buy, Malaysian copies of these things that have English subtitles.
100%. I love this trend, and I hope that, well, especially because, Steam came out with that bullshit where you can't switch your region, but like once, you can't go back to a region. You can go to a region like once, but you have to wait 6 months or something to go back to the region again, like, because they don't want people buying stuff from other regions, and it's like, all right, fucking whatever. But yeah, we got a trailer with a whole bunch of mechs in here. I don't recognize half of this shit. Like,
I recognize some of them, but yeah, a lot of them I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
but there are some characters that are like actually original to Super Robot Wars. So some of them are from what I can tell. But
there's some Gundams.
What I'm really glad is that this shows the fact that every studio has finally realized, honestly they've realized for a bit now, is that people don't actually care about English dubs anymore. So they're just like, just put the text translation. We don't have to do anything else, and then you're done.
Yeah. Exactly. But you know what? It's funny because in any other week, this would be the most exciting Gundam news, but it is only the second most exciting Gundam news, because the most exciting Gundam news is that apparently we got a new online multiplayer Gundam game, and it's Overwatch.
It's fucking crazy. Like, I was watching this trailer, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it's a first-person Gundam game. Like it's like, what, like especially like watching like the first person from the RX 78. It's just like, wow, this is like, it's really detailed and not something I ever thought I would want, but now that I have it, I want it.
Well, it's funny because when you look at the UI, this was pointed out before, like when you look at the first person sections and you look at like the UI on the screen, it's almost exactly fucking Overwatch's UI.
It's even got like the fucking ultimate probably in the middle there.
Yep, those it's charging up. There's like, here's what's on the different things. So this is going to be a 6-on-6 thing, and then each individual, they showed the Dom, and they showed like a GM sniper,
the Sazabi, the RX-78-2.
Yep. and
there's a gun tank there.
yeah, and so there's going to be different there, and they're basically just going to be. It's Overwatch. Like it's not going to be like Battle Operation where it's you're kitting out a Gundam. It's not going to be like fucking what's on what's the one that you played? EX on Go.
Oh, the Gundam Versus series.
Gundam Versus, yeah. Maxi Boost.
I was like confused.
Yeah.
Extreme Maxi Boost Oni, I think is what the name of it. Something like that.
Yeah.
Maxi Boost On.
Where it's like that a weird arena fighter thing. No, this is just fucking 6-on-6 Overwatch, bro. But like the Gundams they don't move. They're not slow. They're just moving like you can just put a people skin on them and it'd be fine. Oh look, the Widowmaker is a GM Gundam or a GM sniper. So
yeah, it's fascinating because it's like it's not something I ever expected out of Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, seeing it's like I want this to be what I want from Gundam for a bit, just to see how it plays out.
As long as
I hope this comes to America.
I hope it's free. I hope it's fucking, or at least maybe like $30. I don't know, but
if it's not free, I hope it gets a lot of support and just like more and more mobile suits kind of thing.
Yeah, there is that. I was just thinking while I was watching this, I'm like, so they're making Gundam into Overwatch. Just Michael. Anything they can do, anything that Gundam could do to not make a single-player narrative-focused game, like
that's true.
Just we're gonna put Gundams in the tactics games over here with the other robots. We're gonna put them in the we have like 2, 3. This will be the third online multiplayer game that's come out in like 2 years. But just anything that we can do to not just make a fucking single-player Gundam game where you can just go play Gundam and it's fun. But
yeah, that's the thing. It's not getting the play single player missions sort of feel of a lot of other anime games. But I feel like they might have ended up becoming arena fighters if they did.
Well, that's true. It's interesting though. I wonder in their little splash page here, they have like the 6 characters and it's 6-on-6, and so I'm wondering if they're going to roll out with just these 6 characters and then start adding more and more and more over time.
The trailer had some gun tanks and stuff appear, so I don't know how those work. Kind of thing. Like, are they just like side enemy, like AI enemies that are on the stage or something?
Could be. I don't know. I mean, very little information right now. Real flashy trailer though. I mean, like again, looks exactly like goddamn Overwatch, but oh man, do you think there's going to be a controversy, Michael, where when the GM Gundam does play of the game, it puts its butt to the camera and turns around, and everybody's like, "That's inappropriate for
absolutely
for the children who play." Gundam Build Fighter Maxi on whatever.
Gundam Build Fighters has like way more like sexy shit going on it than anything else I've ever seen.
Okay.
Like it's got Gundam Build Fighters has a literal like beach episode with a mom with like giant fucking tits. So it's like sure, I guess.
Gundam Build Fighters is like I will never. I
love it, but it's kind of an insane show as well as the spin-offs that happen from it. So
yeah,
it's making them a ton of money though. So that's kind of why they keep making them.
Did you just to get all the Gundam out of the way in one go? Did you watch Hathaway?
No, I still haven't got a chance to watch Hathaway.
Okay.
I started playing Legend of Zelda, so that took up the day that I planned on doing it originally.
I was going to start giving you shit, but I want you to play Breath of the Wild more than I want you to really do anything else. So,
that's right, guys. I finally started playing a game that was a Duke Nukem, apparently.
Motherfucker, my podcast guys that I listened to they did an episode on Heat Signature, and I did a bad thing. I installed Heat Signature, and now I'm just playing Heat Signature, and I was like, fuck, I played too much Heat Signature, I gotta uninstall this. So I uninstalled it, and then my brain was like, hey idiot, that's not gonna work this time. Heat Signature is like 250 megabytes. It downloads in 1 second. Like like
that's how they get you.
No, I need to like delist it off my account, but then it'll be like, my brain will be like, hey stupid, it's $4 on Steam, go buy it again. And I'll be like, okay, fine.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. Heat Signature is great. Everybody should play Heat Signature. So yeah, Gundam is Gundam Evolution. At least, yeah, it's nice that Gundam is doing things, right? Like,
yes, there's such a large gap for a while, especially in America, that we just were not getting Gundam related anythings, except for like maybe the occasional Gunpla if you went to a hobby store.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But we weren't like we were barely getting some of the shows kind of thing.
Yep.
Like it was crazy how little we were getting for a while.
Yep. Let's see. Well, speaking of things that you can watch on Netflix, Netflix is apparently getting ready to start adding games in the next year to Netflix. So Netflix hired, came out last week, was a story kind of all over the place. Netflix hired this guy named Mike Verdu, who was formerly of EA and then Facebook and Oculus, as the vice president of game development. And it appears that, like, unlike the shitty Narcos game, the shitty Dark Crystal game, that shitty Peaky Blinders game, take your pick, the shitty Cobra Kai game,
That poor game.
take your pick of shitty tie-in Netflix games, that this is more about, like, actually offering streaming games like on GeForce Now or Stadia or Amazon Luna on with your Netflix subscription. So, like, included in your Netflix subscription, you will get access to some of the same kind of streaming tech that we're seeing on some of these other platforms. And then maybe also, like, third-party stuff added in as well. It's hard to say exactly because they're not exactly being super forthcoming. But
yeah,
it would be very nice if Netflix did a thing where, because most of the people I know have Netflix just for, you're like, fuck it, I want to watch the Gundam when it comes out or whatever. But
yeah.
It would be nice if there was more utility to it of being able to use it, because I feel like Netflix might have a better handle on the streaming tech than some of these other companies do. And they've dabbled. I mean, they had the Bandersnatch and stuff like that. They've kind of, they've got some interactive movies, then they've got some tie-in games, and it's like, okay, guys, let's just push this chocolate into this peanut butter and see what happens. So
it really depends on what will happen, or what kind of games there are, how you're going to be able to play them, for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to use the remote? Is it going to use, like, if it knows you're on a system, does it, like, will it react to that? Like, that's really, like, they probably don't even know where they're going with this yet, which is the kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, like, most TVs and or streaming boxes devices have some sort of Bluetooth connection, and you can easily connect like a Xbox controller as just a straight up Bluetooth device to a lot of different stuff. So
yeah, some have USBs too that can maybe do something like that too.
Yeah, I mean, you could always just go that route. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I actually, it's funny. I just wish that there was more of the streaming, to be honest. Like, when you and I were going to go play Monster Hunter Stories, I was like, oh, well, Monster Hunter Stories, it runs pretty good on my system, but there's a little bit of hitching. There's something going on my PC. I just need to throw it in the trash and buy a new one like a goddamn American. But I don't want to, because it's Old Faithful. She's been by my side for a long time now. But, like, I was like, hey, this is a Bandai Namco joint. Like, what streaming service is this on? Is it on Stadia? No. Is it compatible with GeForce Now if I buy it on Steam? They're like, no. It's like, well, God damn it, guys. Like, I'm actually trying to give you business over here. Like, make some things available.
Yeah, that's the thing about a lot of these streaming things. Like, I watched a YouTuber, Scott the Waz is his name. He's very popular nowadays, but he did a whole episode on just, like, streaming services that had involved games.
Yep.
Like, starting from the OnLive to Stadia, and it's been something that people have been trying to get off the ground for a long time, and nobody's fully cracked it yet. Like, they've gotten really, really close. Like, Stadia's gotten probably the closest at the moment, but those motherfuckers gave up pretty quickly. So,
well, but
see if Netflix gives up at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like somebody has to make the investment to. I mean, like, the thing is, I played that Lego Builders game on GeForce Now, and I was like, oh, GeForce Now is a fucking Nvidia joint, right? They've got access to servers that are running like ray tracing, like 2060 GeForce cards, or some of them even have like DLSS on them, like. There's some games that I would like to check out that ran really rough on my computer, and I'm like, oh, what about Baldur's Gate 3 in early access? Does that run on GeForce Now? And it's like, no, because GeForce Now did like everything, but then these fuckhead developers started like carving their games off of GeForce Now, because even though it doesn't cost anything, because they want like total platform control over it. Like, in all honesty, Microsoft is really doing better than anybody else. They're really doing the best right now. But
they're willing to invest, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
no other place is willing to do it, and the places that you think are going to, sometimes they, like I said, like Google just was like, I don't want to do this, but Google's notorious for that. They're notorious for making something and then being like, I'm going to go home. Kind of thing.
I mean, I think there was a story this week where Google was they've like expanded the amount of money that third parties can get if they put their game on Stadia. Like, I think there was even a thing where they're talking about, this is actually in this article that we're looking at, where Google is talking about giving developers a cut based on how long people play a game on Stadia. So like, the longer they play, then they'll pay out more to the developers, which is an interesting. It's a strange thing.
That's really strange, but it shows how little they know what to do with it, I think, is really what that says.
Yep. They gotta look at Epic, man. You gotta waste a shitload of money like for years, and eventually it will turn around. Let's see. In other Netflix news, we got the trailer for season 2 of The Witcher. I don't think I sent this to Michael, but did you by any chance watch this on your own?
No. Well, because I've never been that much of a fan of The Witcher in general.
Okay.
Like, I didn't even watch the first season kind of thing, but everybody really, really liked The Witcher, and I like Henry Cavill in general, and I'm just happy that he's still doing things.
Yeah, this one showed, it looks like they're going to Kaer Morhen, which is like in the beginning of The Witcher 3, they flash back to like, this is the place that Geralt taught Ciri how to fight and stuff. So it looks like there's some kind of cool stuff going on in this trailer. I mean, the first one was fine. It was like, some people really, really loved it, and I watched it and I was like, this is fine. And not like the dog with the house burning down fine. It was like, this is an acceptable use of my time.
What I love about this trailer is that he's not wearing his armor that often, because this is the thing I heard about the last one, because Henry Cavill is so incredibly muscular that costumers have hard times keeping his stuff from falling apart from his muscles. So like, I keep picturing him like flexing and them exploding kind of thing.
It's too powerful, but this looks good. And then we also, along with that, we got the confirmation that the season 2 is coming out on December 17th. So that's kind of the big takeaway.
Good news for all of the people who really like The Witcher, because like I keep meaning to watch that first season because I heard decent things, and I've heard just good things about The Witcher in general. So good for them that they're still able to make all this stuff. Isn't there like an anime as well coming out on Netflix for The Witcher?
Oh yeah, there was something about that when it was horse shit, and I don't give a shit. So there was a whole like WitcherCon that happened last week that had a bunch of different announcements, and I picked the 3 that I liked the most. I picked this one, and then also it appears that during the WitcherCon they announced that there's going to be, when the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt next gen update comes out, that they're adding some free DLCs inspired by the show.
It's gonna be the armor that says "rubbed off by Henry Cavill's muscles."
Right. Well, that's what a lot of people think, is that it's going to be armor that looks like the armor in the show. Like, it'll be cosmetics to make it look like the show. So
that's fun.
Yep. Speaking of horrible shit that you could watch on Netflix, that wasn't really what we were talking about, but that's not the segue I got. Let's talk about Resident Evil.
It's not very good.
Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. I watched one episode and was like, fuck you.
It's fucking bad.
Like, if it was a movie, I would have sat there until it was over, but with the show, I was just like, you fooled me enough times for Resident Evil. I'm not sitting here watching this shit.
The funniest thing is it's just the length of a movie. Like, it's not even that long. It's like 4 20-minute episodes. It's like, why didn't you just condense this into one?
Yep.
And each episode doesn't even end like at the end of an episode, which is the most annoying part. It's just clearly a movie edited to be episodes. Sorry, it's frustrating.
Oh, that's all right. But we're not talking about Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. We are talking about Resident Evil 8 Village, or Resident Evil Village. So you may not know this, Michael, but apparently on the PC, there is serious frame rate problems with Resident Evil Village. Like, doesn't matter what your specs are. Like, there are these key actions. They're like the lunging actions, and if the zombies do it, if the Dimitrescu daughters do it, it's like a big frame rate dip. And last week, we found out why. And it's because of, everybody wait for it, blast from the past, you'll never guess, de novo.
Oh, jeez.
So,
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village on the PC has de novo DRM. There was a group that cracked it, and they realized after they cracked it that once they disabled the DRM, everything runs fucking better. To the point where Digital Foundry actually did like an analysis and found out, yes, indeed, it does run better if you turn the fucking DRM off in the PC version. So, yeah, that's no good. That's a bad one.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, it's another example of like why these fucking things are annoying as hell to the general consumer, because the general consumer doesn't know how to crack things. Like all you're doing is fucking over the people who actually paid for your game.
Yep.
More than the people because people who didn't pay for the game are just going to fucking figure that shit out anyways.
Absolutely. Well, apparently the good news is that Capcom is, quote, working on a patch to address the PC performance issues, and it should be available soon. We'll have more details shortly. Yeah, that's still...
Even the article mentions what I said at the very end.
Yeah. It's no good. Well, but you know what? Like, de novo has been a shit show since day one. DRM has been a shit show since day one. As far as I'm concerned, the only copy protection that I'm willing to accept in my video games is some kind of fucking code wheel or like special book or like a key I've got to turn into specific configuration to get a number. Like, at least then you got something cool and you're not just like getting fucked for no reason. And I hate the... Like, how is it that de novo's been doing this for like a decade and they're still so bad at it? And they're still just like fucking things up. Like, somebody had to know that this was going to be a problem, but meh.
They're like, fuck it. DRMs for days.
Handshakes. Well, before they patch out, speaking of patches on the PC, they're patching Resident Evil Village. Also, a patch came out this week for Final Fantasy or Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13 on the PC. So the third Final Fantasy 13 game on the PC got a patch that updated some issues of apparently Lightning's voice not being played in some scenes, which this game came out in 2015.
That was like 6 years ago?
Yeah. So, but the good news here is that this probably means that they're right on the cusp of finally releasing these updated editions of the Final Fantasy 13, 1, 2, and 3 on the PC, because as those are coming to Game Pass, they announced them so long ago that it might as well be forever.
Yeah, we had forgot. Like, we were literally like, did they announce that? And we couldn't find it because it was that long ago.
Yeah. It's like they announced they were coming to Game Pass in 2019, but I just assumed that was going to be the Xbox 360 versions, because they actually did announce like remastered versions, and then they just never fucking put them out, and I don't know whatever happened to them. So but this is good news. I actually have a trio of interesting Final Fantasy stories this week, and none of them involve Final Fantasy VII. Not a one.
That's shocking, actually.
Yeah,
legitimately.
So next up, Final Fantasy XIV, which is become like the new hotness. Apparently, everybody hates WoW now, and there's like this mass exodus into Final Fantasy XIV from WoW because Blizzard has just done. I don't know what they did. I don't care to find out. It's just some bullshit. Like their writers are bad, or I don't know. I watched some video on it, and I was just like, I don't care enough to listen to this. But apparently Final Fantasy XIV is so hot. That Final Fantasy XIV is so hot right now. And strangely, this has resulted in the game being difficult to get, including on Square Enix's website to buy the PC download version. You couldn't buy it now. The buy it now link said waiting list. Like the digital PC version was, quote, sold out.
That's amazing. Like, it's rare. Like, I've heard of it happening before, because apparently a lot of times what'll happen is that they create a giant, like a mass chunk of keys.
Yeah.
And then when you buy it, like, eventually it can run out of those keys.
Right.
But it's fascinating that, like, that they hit that fucking mark. Like that's very rare for anything to hit that mark, especially something that is continually being worked on even now.
Absolutely. So yeah, apparently Square is so there was this article seems to think that the reason was because Square is throttling the input of players in order to keep the servers from being overloaded, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like Square to me. I feel like
no, they're like money. I don't give a if the servers are on fire. I don't care.
Yeah.
More money,
more players. Get the fire extinguisher and get more keys out there. They've also got an expansion coming out. They've got a big free login, because you still have to buy a subscription for Final Fantasy XIV. So
yes,
but there's a big subscription lift for returning players. A lot of stuff. I mean, the thing is, that Final Fantasy XIV, as near as I can tell, has been good for a while. It's not like Final Fantasy XIV was ever a bad game that just suddenly got good. It's just that nobody was playing it.
Well, 14 was a bad game for a bit. Like that's why it got pulled originally.
Well, yeah,
and then it came back as a good game.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating, like you said, that like it's not like it all of a sudden became an even better game. It's basically just been the same game with the new stuff that came out eventually. But it shows how much people want an MMO experience that doesn't involve the insanity that is right now Blizzard Activision.
Yeah. Which apparently, I guess I don't really know that much about it. I didn't read up on it. I'm sorry, but I mean, a lot of the things seem to be like the story for the new expansion is just kind of, and like everybody kind of doesn't care, and it seems like Blizzard's just kind of phoning it in, and so yeah, people want to go where the people are. I mean, there's a shitload of Final Fantasy 14. There's like near content, and like Final Fantasy 7 content, like
there's Monster Hunter content.
Monster Hunter. Man, there's so much shit in Final Fantasy 14. Like, yeah, if you want an MMO, go for it. All right, so we did Final Fantasy 13. We did Final Fantasy 14. I told you it's not Final Fantasy 7. Michael, what is the third Final Fantasy game that we're going to talk about?
Is it the Chaos one?
No, it is not the Chaos one. It's a numbered entry in the series. Drum 6 is incorrect. Tetsuya Nomura was talking about Final Fantasy X, and this was in an interview. Was talking about how like there is apparently a full outline that has been created for Final Fantasy X-3.
Oh my God!
Nomura is saying, don't count out 10. We could make 10-3.
Don't you fucking do it, Tetsuo. You can't even finish half of the other shit you fucking do. Don't do it. Don't even try.
Yeah, here's the quote. The quote is, "The probability is not 0, but we are not in a phase where we could talk about it unless we have finished producing Final Fantasy VII Remake." Now,
yes. That's exactly what you should be at.
I like Final Fantasy X. I like Dumb Titus, and I like Final Fantasy X too. I like the dumbass dress spheres and the fucking Charlie's Angels Yuna. Man, I like it. I like the world, and I like the characters. But you know what? Fuck you, man. Like, quit remaking old Final Fantasies and make new Final Fantasies. Even the Chaos one is Final Fantasy 1. You got Final Fantasy 7. Don't make Final Fantasy 10-3. I know that there's already plans for 16, right? I know they're making 16, but like make 16 and then start working on 17 while you're making 16 and like quit remaking Final Fantasy games or making sequels to Final Fantasy games. Come on, man. Come on.
I wonder if they'll make those gun controllers, because apparently that was a thing.
Oh, what?
For X2. Have you ever seen that for Final Fantasy X-2?
Mm-mm.
There's a special controller, a PS2 controller, that is her gun or it's both of her guns, and they're like, it's a PS2 controller.
Okay. That's a silly thing.
That's a real thing, by the way, people.
That's a silly goddamn thing that I'm looking at pictures of right now. I don't know, man. I just wanted to make new stuff. I just want them to quit remaking everything, or if they're going to remake something, can they just remake 6 for God's sake without without Nomura? Can you give 6 to like the guys over at the Tokyo RPG studio and fucking like let them work on it for 4 years or whatever? I don't give a shit. Or you know what? Just do it the Octopath like they did with Dragon Warrior and just make it all like 3D with the lighting and stuff and just remake 6 and put it out like that.
That would be pretty cool.
Come on, do it. I like this one picture of these uniguns being held by somebody, and behind is Gundam Wing, right?
It's fucking Churro Barton, yeah. The Endless Waltz is what it says on there.
Sorry. Other JRPG news.
A lot of weird stuff happened back then.
We got a shitload of Persona. Atlas teased 7 Persona projects.
Oh my god!
How
many of them are dancing related?
The thing is that this is the Persona 25th anniversary year, and what they have is they have all these things. One of them we're going to hear about in September of this year, but then the rest of them are like coming soon, all the way to autumn of 2022. I think that one of these is supposed to be Persona 6 because there was these like cards that you could buy that were. That had like all the different protagonists from each. It had like art from each Persona game. Persona 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it had like a few others that were just secret. Yeah, that were for pre-order. So it was like Persona 2, some kind of 2 special edition, 3 what was the 3? The 3 special edition, 4
I can't remember the name of it.
Golden, 5 Royale, and then 2 secret things. So. Who knows how many of these are dancing games? Who knows how many of these are fucking whatever? I mean, all I'm saying is that I hope that at the very least that they doubled the size of the game from Persona 4 to Persona 5. I hope to God that Persona 6 isn't 160 hours long because there's a point where it becomes too long, and no sane human being has 160 hours to put into one fucking video game, The Witcher. Like, come on.
How long was that Fire Emblem game?
Oh, that one wasn't even... Oh, the 3 Houses? Well, okay.
You had to, like, beat it like 3 times?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it wasn't that long the first time, but it was like 40 to 50 hours, which is what is normal for like a JRPG. But then you were expected to play through all 3 of the houses, which puts you up into the like, on how long to beat the completionist time is 195 hours.
Yep, there it is.
Eat it. Take my butt. Put it in your mouth and fucking eat it, all right?
It's your forever game at that point.
There's too many. There's such a thing as a game that's too fucking long, and it's called all video games. Speaking of video games that are too fucking long, Cyberpunk 2077 is back in the news. Apparently, in June, after Cyberpunk 2077 was put back on the PlayStation Store, it was the #1 most downloaded PlayStation 4 game in June.
Oh, wow.
Sony put out the numbers for this, and for the PS5, PS4, and what was it? There's a third one. It was PS4, PS5, and something else. Ratchet & Clank was the Rift Apart was like the most popular PS5 title, but yeah, Cyberpunk was the top downloaded game, which is interesting because it wasn't even up all month. Like it came in halfway through the month.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even. Yeah, it didn't even. It's not even like it had like. Momentum. And remember that Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS4 literally has a note on it when you go to buy it that says, this game is fucked up, don't buy it.
Yeah. Jesus.
So, and I guess people they really want to see what the deal is, I guess.
Yeah, they really just want to find out if anything was fixed, I guess. I don't know. That's fascinating.
I'm playing that game until the Ultimate Edition is out, until it's fucking fully fixed. I don't care how long I gotta wait, because I'm not playing it, Michael. I'm not gonna play Cyberpunk 2077 more than one time. I'm gonna play it one time, and then I'm gonna finish it, and then I'm gonna be done with it, and I'm gonna the end, and I'm not gonna play it and then come back to be like, oh look, it's better now. I'll play through all that story content that I already know exactly what happens in it. So
I'm debating it, but if I'll ever actually get it, but I don't know at this point.
Yeah. One last thing before we take a break. We're actually getting through these newses pretty fast this week. So considering we spent like 25 minutes talking about that Steam thing.
Yeah, we did.
One last thing before we take a break. The stupidest story this week. Lost Judgment could be the last Judgment game that we see in the Judgment franchise of games. And the reason is idiotic. It is incredibly fucking stupid. So, Judgment, for those who don't know, the main character in Judgment is based on a real character. He's a real person. He's a real guy. He's a guy. I think he might be like a pop guy, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyway,
I'm surprised. Yeah,
this guy has, what is it? Takuya Kimura has a talent agency. He works for a talent agency. The talent agency, Michael, is called Johnny and Associates, which is sus, real fucking sus. Now apparently Johnny and Associates does not want this game with the likeness of their person on the personal computer platform. Here's a quote. Apparently the company has, quote, has strict control over the likeness rights of its talent, and use of their image online is still limited to a few. Like, it's this.
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. There's a lot of weird stuff. But apparently, like, the whole thing is like it's one of these like super conservative Japanese things that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, where they are like, we strictly control what likeness of this character gets put onto the internet and personal computers. And so they will not allow Judgment or Lost Judgment to be ported to PC platforms, which was a shock to me because I honestly thought that Judgment was already on PC because all the Yakuza games are.
Apparently that's the outlier.
But so, you know, the Ryugo fucking the developers have come back and basically said like, well, PC is a big market for us. We make a lot of fucking money on PC.
Yeah.
And like, your reasoning for us not putting our profitable game that we spent the time and effort on the PC is a bunch of horse shit. So if that's your stance, we're just not going to make any more Judgment games. Which just like it's the Jackie Chan fucking rage meme for me. Where I'm just like, what?
Yeah, like, what?
What the fuck, man? Like, that's so stupid.
Like, even this article says like, yeah, the actor has no control of this apparently because he says he's disappointed that this is what's happening.
Yeah, 100%. Also, okay, so Judgment is on Stadia, but not. But
I guess that doesn't count as it being on PC, I guess, to them or something.
I mean,
that's interesting.
Okay, so here's the only thing that makes any sense to me. Here's the only thing that makes any sense to me is that they're worried about people taking the PC code and modding the character model that is based on the exact likeness rights of their guy into other stuff. Okay, listen. There was
actually makes sense though.
There was a story this week, Michael. I don't put every story in here because some of them are too insane. There's a story this week about a guy that got arrested in it was like Japan or somewhere like that for selling modded Breath of the Wild save game files. Like, who is buying save game files for Zelda off a shady dude on the streets, y'all? Like, what are you guys doing over there? So
I'm just picturing him like on the corner, just like pulling his jacket up. You want them Legend of Zelda saves?
Yeah,
I got it with the bike and everything. You don't have to do nothing.
Right. Like, so I can maybe understand that in an environment where like that's the sort of thing that is happening, but maybe, but it still seems like a really stupid reason to deprive the world of a fun game franchise. Like, I know that
it's just so, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard happening in one of these. Like, they're better off just like changing the actor and just leaving it at that. If that's where they're gonna fucking have to deal with, kind of thing.
I mean, in some ways, like, the thing is that if you change the actor, it wouldn't be Judgment anymore, right? Like it would be a different game.
Yeah, but Max Payne had like 3 different people. Like it wouldn't be that weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would think that they would probably be more likely to just shut that franchise down and start something brand new. Start the Goro Majima spinoff.
That's probably what they'll end up doing. Yeah, because it's not unheard of changing an actor, but like because Spider-Man did it not that long ago. I mentioned the Max Payne stuff. It happens, like but I don't know. Like it's like I guess Japan probably would be more stubborn with it than U.S. places would be.
It's a silly thing, and I hate it. The end. And with that scintillating commentary, I don't like it. Where are my video games? I am an American, and in America, we get the video games. I want the video games. That's my take. That's my hot take. We're gonna go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're gonna finish out the news, and I think at this rate, we are actually going to be able to answer a few of them spicy questions. So stick around.
Absolutely.
We're back, and Michael, I think we're going to have plenty of time for questions this week.
Deuce, you say?
I know I am not a liar, regardless of what you might have heard online. I tell the truth. One of us always tells the truth, and one of us always lies. Yeah, but we do have a couple more things to go through before we get to that point. So first up, we have a really interesting thing this week. I don't know if you saw this, but this was actually really fascinating. There was so last week, I believe, there was a piece of software by this user that was making a cheat software. And it was picked up online by these anti-cheat folks. And basically, what makes this different than anything else was that this was a setup that could be used to cheat on any hardware that was not a software. It wasn't like a digging into the code and exploiting something in the code software cheat. What it was you literally would set up a screen capture software, and then you would put hardware that, like, let's say we're going to do this on the Xbox, right? You would have your Xbox running, but you would also have like a capture software that was running one-to-one. So what was on your screen was also coming to your PC through the capture software. And then you would have a device that would basically split your controller input between the TV and your PC. And then on the PC, there was an AI bot that was analyzing like what was coming through the capture and literally looking at the screen and then sending commands to your controller based on what it was seeing. Like the AI it was like having a robot play the game for you that was literally looking at the screen, finding enemies, and then sending adjustments to your controller to adjust your headshots, to reduce your recoil, to like fire at things, extrapolate where somebody was going to be running and then shoot them through the wall and stuff like that. So it was essentially a completely undetectable cheating solution that didn't rely on digging into the actual code in order to make this stuff happen. And it could be used on a console, on the PC, pretty much anywhere that the AI could look at this and then use that to cheat. Now, I'm on record as being very much anti-dirty fucking cheaters and their stupid desire to make things less fun for everybody because they suck balls. But that's kind of impressive. That's a little impressive if you ask me.
It's really impressive, but also just like why?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's just like that's what it always comes down to, these cheat things, because it's like what's the point of this, guys? Like,
Well, they want to win.
What are you really getting at all this?
They get to win, Michael. They get to win all the time and be great. That's it.
But they don't like get anything out of it. I know it's just over the top for like, because like you win, like it doesn't make any. I don't know, it's dumb.
Some people are really into winning online. I mean, you've seen what happens when I lose at a fighting game. You know what's going on.
That's true.
But the thing is that this particular, this was all kind of working, and then apparently Activision sent this guy a cease and desist based on the fact that the demo that they were using was using Warzone, probably with language saying hey, if you publish this, we're going to take you to court, since it's basically it does violate the terms of service of playing an online game. And if this was just one dude doing, now the silly thing here is that the person that was making it, they put out this statement, right? And it's at the request of Activision Publishing Incorporated, I will no longer be developing or providing access to software that can be used to exploit their games. My intent was never to do anything illegal. At the end of the video that brought so much attention to this project, it stated coming soon. The software is never published. And then they go on to say, this type of technology has other actual assistive benefits. For example, by pointing a webcam at yourself, you could control movement without the use of limbs. Unfortunately, because of its potential negative impact, I will not be developing it further. No. I saw your video. Don't pretend this video that you put out is all just you can play online games and just fucking you can play any game and you can get all the headshots in any game that you want. This isn't about helping.
I wonder if this video was his, because extremely fast is misspelled.
Yeah.
It's just guys, come on. I'm not doing anything illegal. It's dude, you can't even the entire thing is talking about how great this is for murdering other people.
Yeah, it's impressive, and it'll be interesting to see, because I was thinking how technically you could do all that. You could still do all this. The concept is sound, right? Maybe somebody else is just going to develop one of these and then not fucking publicize it, because again, we were talking about the Zelda save games, people will actually pay money for cheating software, which is bizarre to me, that you would actually buy cheat software to win at a video game. I mean, I know that I fucking run a website that's devoted to video games, but again, I just don't get I'm with you on this, where I don't get the sense of accomplishment that congratulations, you've basically cheating isn't succeeding. Cheating is cheating. There's a reason that we look down on cheaters and call them fucking filthy cheaters. I don't know.
It doesn't do anything for them. It's not they can. It's not all of a sudden they're all professional paid players or something. That's what always confuses me. It's you don't get anything really out of it other than, hey, you won. Cool. Congratulations, I guess.
I mean, I guess
you're not even the one doing it. It's fresh. I get cheats on single player games, but when you go out and do multiplayer ones, it's just what the fuck, dude? What is the point of any of this?
I mean, I guess the thing is, it's not entirely let's take this to its logical conclusion. There have to be some games, there have to be Warzone or Fortnite games where it's a tournament that's all played over the internet, right? Where you never have to go in person. And if that's the case, then you could stand to win money. You could stand. I mean, I thought there was a thing that happened a few months back where it turned out that some Fortnite people were running cheats. And I know that PUBG has had some cheat stuff that happened in there. So maybe it's not as ridiculous as I think. Or maybe there's an actual financial gain, right? If you can use cheating software to enhance your own skill and then start winning tournaments, you would actually get fucking checks and money and rewards for that. I mean,
those are harder and harder for people to pull off nowadays, because they get so diligent about that sort of thing nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I tell you where they need to be super diligent about cheating. That's in the fucking Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl that got announced this week. So Nickelodeon's making a Smash Brothers. There was a Nickelodeon Mario Kart that came out not too long ago.
They've been making a lot of Mario Kart ones for a long time. There's actual arcade ones of their Mario Kart style games.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's one at the Gaddies, off of in the South Park Meadows, for instance, here in Austin.
Okay. But they put out a trailer this week for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. It's got SpongeBob, it's got the Thornberries, it's got fucking Reptar and some Real Monsters. It's got some Hey Arnold.
It's got some Danny Phantom in it.
Danny Phantom, yeah. It's got all your favorites, all your Nickelodeon favorites.
It's got some of the new ones like the Loud House Peoples.
Yeah.
From what it showed.
I don't know. You could be making that up, and I wouldn't know if it was true or not. I don't know anything about Nickelodeon.
I only know some of it, only because like people I know still will still recommend animation to me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it looks like a solid little fucking Smash Brothers ripoff. I mean, let's be honest. It's a Smash Brothers ripoff, right? Like,
no, 100%.
Like the stages look like Smash Brothers stages.
Yeah, the way people die and everything. Like there was another, like, Cartoon Network made one years back.
Yeah,
that had Captain Planet in it.
Jesus.
Okay. And a lot of people forgot it existed because when this got announced, people were like, "How come Cartoon Network doesn't have one?" It's like they did. You guys just didn't notice. But like there's something fascinating about like this because it actually looks pretty good so far.
Yeah,
and there's actually like a lot of Nickelodeon characters that are actually like actual fighting type things, like the Korra, like the Avatar series, that kind of thing. That would actually, you know, lend themselves to this sort of idea.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to what the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl deep dive where they come on and he's got the two controllers. He's talking about the jump height on Squidward from SpongeBob,
yeah.
And like you know,
talking about hitboxes and shit.
Yeah. Okay, so when you do the neutral cancel with Squidward, then we've made this new thing where most other characters it takes 2 frames, but it only takes Squidward 1 frame. But then we balance that. I just want to see a Smash Brothers deep dive with the fucking Nickelodeon characters. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of memes right now about like I'm waiting for the next Nickelodeon Smash Direct kind of thing. Like hosted by like that lady who did that new show that used to be on Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah.
They're like, how come it's like she needs to be a character? It's like, what's happening?
Yeah, it's really strange. I do though appreciate the fact that, like, you know, they didn't put in Ren or Stimpy, they put in Powdered Toast Man, and then like they didn't put any of the Rugrats in, they put in Reptar. Like they really did try to find like the most combat focused character from every show. I mean, as near as I can tell. I don't really.
Well, apparently there's like a cover out that has like that has the characters in like silhouettes for some of it.
Oh God.
And Ren and Stimpy are like probably on there. Same with Korra and maybe Aang. It all depends.
All right.
Like people are trying to figure out like who's going to be in this. Like people are legitimately excited for this, which I did not expect. But there's a lot of memes about it too, which I do like a lot. But you know, I'm actually curious. Like maybe they actually like whoever's making this actually ends up making a decent Smash Brothers clone. I don't know.
I mean, you know. If Brawlhalla can do it, then anybody can do it.
Yeah.
We also,
that one game we played. Remember that thing?
Which one? Oh yeah, the PC one.
Yeah, that one was fucking awful.
With like the Guacamelee and Shovel Knight and stuff in it.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was so fucking bad.
Yeah, it was no good. We also got a trailer announcement for Company of Heroes 3. We got like a kind of a story trailer with Lady with Bread helping them allies take down the Nazis. Did you watch this trailer where Lady
I did
with
not.
Okay, yeah. So the whole thing is like Lady with basket of bread at the beginning is like distracting the Nazis, and then like the allies come in and they just like throw a grenade at those damn Nazis, and then the lady she goes in and she like picks up one of their guns and she's like, I'm gonna fight the Nazis with my bread powers, and then the tanks come rolling up. So Company of Heroes is like an RTS, a World War II RTS. They have this cinematic thing, but they also put out a trailer that was like the gameplay trailer. The gameplay is a lot less dynamic. It's actually kind of strange.
So when does the bread come in?
I don't think the bread's in here. I was curious what Bread Lady was, but yeah, this just kind of showed like it's a gameplay trailer, and it just kind of showed some various pieces of taking this town. I feel like one of the new things in World War II games is like Italy and Africa, right? Like That was Sniper Elite did Italy. This seems like this, at least what they're showing, is all in this Italian town. This is going into early access not too soon, but there's actually a pre-alpha that's available to play until August 2nd. So I doubt my computer will run this, but I don't know. I'll install it. It's free apparently.
Okay,
you could check it out. But I don't know. I like a good RTS, and I don't know. I'm still tired of World War II, but whatever. I saw somebody online who made it was one of the news stories that I didn't put in here that was like somebody who made a total conversion for New Vegas. It just makes it all into Star Wars. So it's just it's actually Fallout New Vegas, but just the characters are like stormtroopers instead of New California Republic characters or whatever. Yeah. We also got an absolutely insane story trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5. This is one of those like, goddamn, is this an anime as hell anime trailer about an anime game that is anime? It looks really good though. Like I'm kind of looking forward to giving this one a shot. I just hope I think Shin Megami Tensei has a reputation for being really hard.
It's because it's this and Persona are the two like very similar because they are very much because they're technically the same universe or something, if I remember correctly, something like that. But yeah, Shin Megami Tensei is known as the one that's difficult as fuck compared to Persona.
Yeah, but it looks absolutely positively wackadoodle. Like the main character looks so fucking weird with their weird skin tight Power Rangers and then their big wavy floppy hairdo, and they're summoning all these devils, they're summoning devils and making them do stuff, and it's very, I don't know, it's like the Hot Topic version of Persona.
Which is saying something considering Persona.
Yeah, it's all so dark. But looks good. I hope it runs well. We played that Disgaea 6 and it didn't run super well. I hope this one has a good, nice frame rate. In other anime wackiness news, we got a gameplay trailer for Caligula Effect 2. I don't feel like anybody but me remembers what Caligula Effect was. It was this very, very weird. You know what? I feel like there should be a whole genre of JRPG that's just like the Danganronpa style JRPG where it's like, reality is fractured and there's a weird thing and it's all related to a thing, and this one had a very interesting battle system where it was like the battles would play out in real time, but you could kind of like preview what was going to happen on your turn to change things up, and it's very stylish. It's funny, I was watching this and I was like, I could probably send Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Caligula Effect 2 to some people and they would be like, it's the same picture, right? Like the Pam meme from The Office. But I don't know. I think it looks kind of cool. It also looks pretty cool. A lot like Persona. Like if you're just jonesing for Persona,
it does. That is one thing I did notice about it.
Let's see. We also got a really big. I feel like all the trailers this week were very long. We got a Weird West trailer that actually was one of the more comprehensive trailers I've seen for Weird West. Did you get a chance to look at this one?
I did not.
Okay. It kind of just outlines that there's going to be like 5 different protagonists because it's like an RPG where it's like there's a kind of a big bruiser that had all these like experiments done on him. There's like a bounty hunter that's coming back for one more job. There's like a cowboy that's also a werewolf, cowboy werewolf, which I'm in for that. Like
this just reminds me of that. I told you that story a long time ago where somebody was like, yeah, we're gonna make this movie. It's good, like nothing anybody's ever seen. It's like, well, what is it? It's like a supernatural western. I'm like, are you being serious right now?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's the whole thing, and it just reminds me of that because it makes me laugh at the fact that some people still think that's like this sort of idea is like an exciting new thing.
I don't know, man. This looks like Desperados meets Cthulhu with like Diablo controls, and like I'm 100% on board for that sentence. Like,
well, it looks cool, but you know what I mean. Like, it's like it's just funny to me, but it does look really cool. Like for that type of game.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, also Devolver's putting it out, and everybody knows I'm a big slut for Devolver. So, I'm also a big slut for Maneater. We finally got a release date trailer for Maneater Truth Quest, the weird fucking New World Order man-eater thing that had Chris Parnell just talking about all these crazy conspiracies with it's like the first letter is P, and the P on the tarot is the star, and the stars are aligned like black helicopters. So apparently you're going to be taking down like the Illuminati as a weird shark in this Man-Eater DLC.
It's fucking crazy.
I love it. And we got a release date
Man-Eater
of what is that? October, September, July. No, January, February, March, April,
That's
May,
August.
June, July, August. God, I always forget August. August is a forgettable month. August 31st. So we will be on the lookout for that. Let's see. And to finish things up, we've got a lot of delays. The delays are coming. And our first delay, Michael, your favorite game, Resident Evil RE. No, your second favorite game. I forgot. Godfall is your favorite game. Resident Evil RE-verse has been delayed. The RE-verse has been delayed. Yeah, they've been delayed until 2022 so that the team can, quote, continue working to deliver a smooth gameplay experience. Which
I forgot that like the one that came out was still like the beta of it.
Yep.
Like it wasn't even the actual thing. But
yeah.
It kept saying it was, but I don't know. It was a whole thing.
You don't you remember you got exclusive access to Resident Evil RE-verse for free when you bought Resident Evil Village? You got an exclusive access to the multiplayer version.
Yeah.
Capcom, quit it. Just fucking stop it. Stop trying to make multiplayer Resident Evil games. All right, just fucking stop it. They never worked. I don't know. I still haven't finished Village because Tessa and I are playing it for patreon.com/RageLike. But did you play the Mercenaries mode? Was that any fun? Is that any good?
I did it for like a little bit, but I didn't really get that. I was like super late at night, so I didn't really do it for that long. But I always kind of like the Mercenaries mode because it's just like a hard mode, basically.
And that's single player only, right? You can't like play that with other people.
As far as I know, that one's single player only. Because I know Mercenaries in 6 was a multiplayer one, but I don't think that one does, as far as I know.
Stop it, Capcom. Capcom, you do some good work. Just fucking quit it. Quit trying to do it. Unfortunately, we also got the news that Ghostwire Tokyo has been pushed out into 2022. Yeah, this is kind of a pain in the butt, but considering the fact that Ghostwire Tokyo was only announced in 2019, I feel like it's not the worst thing.
Bad, actually. Yeah, that's only, 2 years since then?
It was supposed to come out 2 years, and then it's being pushed into... I just hope that it's not it's not a problem, right? That it's not like with Ikumi Nakamura leaving. I hope that it hasn't turned into that there wasn't some kind of problem with development that's going to end up making it be a crappy game. Like, I don't want it to be a crappy game.
I think it's just the COVID thing. COVID's just going to keep causing issues like this, so...
Yeah.
No.
And then our last delay were Hammer 40K Dark Tide, which is the kind of Left 4 Dead style 4-player PvE Warhammer game, has also been delayed into 2022. They basically just said, like, again, pandemic, difficult. We need a little bit more time on this, so they're pushing it out.
I have no feelings about this one way or the other.
Okay.
At least on this one.
What about Nier? Do you have any feelings about Nier?
I think that's fine. I've never really played them, so.
Nier Automata is finally getting the PC patch this week. There was a kind of a controversy where the version of Nier Automata that was on the Xbox Game Pass PC version was like better than the unpatched Steam version.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the actual Steam version is out. The patch is out, and it brings in like HDR, 4K, little adjustments to the overall. One of the things in this article that I'm reading off VG247 is the frame rate is stabilized. This includes cutscenes, which will all now also display at the correct aspect ratio without stretching the picture. Were the cutscenes all like 4:3 stretched to 16:9 before? Like, God,
I don't know.
I'd be kind of surprised if the people didn't just go burn down Square Enix if that was the case. Like,
Jesus Christ,
that's unacceptable. But fortunately, it seems like things are getting hammered out. So good.
That's good.
Good. You know what? Earlier on, I said that we were going to finish up talking about Gundam, but I lied because there was a story this week apparently of so this was reported by Video Card Z, talking about a shop in Vietnam called Nguyen Con PC that apparently was just packing in like these special edition Gundam GeForce RTX cards for sale in a configuration that would really only be used for crypto mining.
Jesus Christ.
So these were like these special edition. They were okay. So a regular RTX 3080 is $700. These were $2,000 to $3,000 on eBay. They were special edition Gundam, like white Gundam cards with some like decals and Gundam stuff on the side of them. And apparently they're just being sold to just be shoved into fucking crypto mining because
that's so fucked.
I hate crypto. I hate cryptocurrency, period, at this point. Like, I can see no benefit. Like, there's a whole story that we didn't even go into about fucking FaZe Clan Logan Paul recommending some dumbass cryptocurrency that they're making to try to inflate the price so they can get like, fuck all this bullshit. Fuck this dumb geek futures trading commodities broker bullshit. Like, fuck your crypto mining horse crap. Like, I can make...
It's caused a lot of issues for PC gamers. A lot of them.
Yeah. There was another story this week that was just like some place in Ukraine that had like 3,000 PS4s just on racks doing nothing but crypto mining. It was just bullshit. Fuck crypto mining.
And the only reason they got caught is because they were stealing electricity.
Yeah. Yes. Because otherwise, it wouldn't be like if you had to pay for the electricity, then it wouldn't be worth it, right? Because the massive amount of electricity to run
was like
2,000 PS4s.
It was like hundreds of thousands, like in charges that they were like evading. It was so fucked.
Yeah, fuck this geek bucks bullshit. I hate it. Like, you can just make up your own currency, right? You guys could just do that instead of having to do this fucking idiot NFT Elon Musk mining these. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Dogecoin was a joke that now people have taken seriously. It's like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Speaking of weird PC shit that people should take seriously, last week we saw a surfacing of a 1990 PC demo of Super Mario Brothers 3 that id Software apparently slapped together in a week as a pitch to Nintendo that like, hey, we can port Super Mario Brothers 3 to the PC. Now, apparently, this is actually kind of interesting because the thing is that in 1990, game controllers on the PC were not really a thing. Like, you could buy them. Like, what was that? The Gravis gamepad, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
hook that shit into the game port on your sound card and fucking run some drivers on it. But the thing is that apparently id had spent some time actually like working out how to make the controls and not just the controls, but to make the game smooth enough on the PC that it would be acceptable to Nintendo. They submitted it. Nintendo decided, nah. And then this thing has just kind of lost time. Well, last week, apparently, that demo kind of resurfaced online, and now it's in a museum. The Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York, apparently has a Video Game Hall of Fame, and they were given a copy of this to put in there, so now it's on display in the Video Game Hall of Fame. What's interesting to me...
Mario's freaking me out.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is, I mean, it is 1990, right? So, like, when did okay, let's get a beat here. When did Windows 3.1 come out?
I have no idea.
Let's see, 1993. So let's see, DOS 6.22. What are we at DOS 6.22? That was not that. I want the Wikipedia page, not that one. That was 81. Okay, so what about like Windows 3.1? Not 3.11, but just 3.1. That was 92. So we're talking a pre-Windows 3.1 world. We're talking about like DOS 622,
Yeah.
like OS2 warp and shit like that. like real, I feel like sometimes people forget that like there were some challenges back in the day.
That's the thing. Like PC gaming was not like any gaming outside of arcades was not really known for being good.
Yeah.
For a bit.
So let's see if we can figure. This was DOS 5. So this is MS DOS 6.622 was out at that point. So that would probably be where you would be running this stuff. But we're talking a pre-Windows world. And what's funny about this is that this version of Mario, I mean, Mario is made to run in 4x3 on fucking TVs on like a game console that now could fit inside of I've got the Game & Watch that can fit in my pocket that'll do pixel perfect NES games. This looks like balls. Like this is some like Super Gianna Sisters level. Like, why is Mario's skin white? I know you can make yellow, or maybe you can't. Like, I don't know.
Have you ever seen like the PC ports of Super Mario Brothers 1? It's like,
yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous what they look like. It's like, oh no. Like, I watched, I think it was Jeff Gritzman or something play it not that long ago on his YouTube channel, and I was just like, what the fuck is this nonsense?
Yeah, it's weird. It's funny to think about how far we've come, and how like even that was apparently a challenge at the time. So like it's nice to see this, but it's very weird to look at this version of Mario Brothers and be like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, Mario just looks fucking weird.
Like this is a time when it was better to have a console was whooping PC's ass at this point. So
yeah,
at least in terms of ease of use,
it was different. It was a different time, guys.
Yep. And last up on our story parade, a sealed version of Mario. We got more Mario. Sealed version of Mario 64 apparently sold at auction for $1.5 million.
Yeah, I still call like shenanigans on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, it's Mario 64 of all things.
So, okay, here's the thing. I read through this. Apparently, like the auction site said that the winning bidder was vetted and they were eligible for a bet of this magnitude. And they this was not like some bullshit. But apparently the thing is that this is it comes down to the rating. This is a condition grading of 9.8 A++, which means virtually undamaged, like completely mint box, plastic, everything, which apparently is very difficult to find for N64 games because of the way that they were packaged. They were really easy to bend or spindle.
Because there were cardboard boxes,
right?
And a lot of places that put them, because you look at like DVD racks now, like they shove them into themselves.
Yeah, and
that was very much what happened with these boxes.
Yeah, so apparently there was a. The thing is that there was a 9.4 A+ graded sealed copy that sold for $384,000 last January, and there was a 9.2 single A graded copy that sold for $7,500. But this is apparently also like the most expensive thing that's ever, like the first Superman comic in mint condition doesn't cost $1.5 million at auction.
It costs, I think, about 1.3 or something like that. Like, it's barely, and that's like a 1940s fucking thing. That's why I'm surprised by that, because like even Action Comics #1 has never hit that much, and it's like the oldest comic book in existence.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that what's very interesting is that I think this goes into a thing that maybe you know more about, but that I certainly don't, of like I watch Jim Sterling, right? And he's talked a lot about how just like his or I'm sorry, James Stephanie Sterling, and they have talked about how like just featuring the Boglins, right, on their channel made like the aftermarket Boglin market like become more expensive, and that there's this thing where like apparently millennials are like really trying to buy, you know, like old toys and old like copies of things as a way of getting in touch with childhood. I don't really know what the reason is, but apparently it's caused a lot of these like getting a set of like muscle figures, right, is like really expensive, or you know, old toys on eBay are apparently like really expensive. So I could kind of see this maybe a little bit, but
I could kind of see that, like if that's the case, yeah, because it's somewhat true. Because you know, when I was very young, or not even very young, I was like in my teens and stuff, I would try to buy figures that I wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because there was like a Superman figure I bought from the animated series when I was like 16, only because I had wanted it as a kid, but somebody was selling it here in Austin for like $10.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying that. Like there's a store not that far from here as well that's like, hey, we sell old figures and we also buy them off of you, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a whole market right now, and the fact that they're re-releasing them, like they re-released the He-Mans.
Oh yeah.
They're re-releasing all the real Ghostbuster stuff still. But like there's a market for these things, and I guess gaming is starting to ease into it even more than it was than I thought.
The Star Wars figures have always been. I mean, a lot of the re-releases of some of the Star Wars figures, or I remember Matt and I looking online at Transformers. Some of the Transformers releases
they re-released. Speaking of, you know, Matt, like they re-released those fucking Megazords from Power Rangers. Like they remade those and re-released them. Some of them in die-cast, that kind of thing. Like there's a huge market for nerds who really wanted something when they were poor, but now they have money.
I guess
they go from there. Yeah.
And that's it. But you know what? We've got like almost a half hour. Questions. I felt bad because last week I asked for questions and then we read like 2. So let's see what we can do here.
Well, now we have them.
Yeah. Let's see. Our first question this week comes in from Sean. Sean says, hello, Jeff and Michael. I saw your request for podcast questions, so here are mine. I remember hearing you recently talk about the Metro games. Oh, that was a long time ago. Which made me think about how much I enjoyed the most recent entry, Metro Exodus. That is, until I got to the spider bunker section. It was just too dark, too atmospheric, and too intense for me to get through, even though I know from watching YouTube walkthroughs that on normal difficulty, only a couple of those giant spider things actually attack you in that section. The sound design was creepy enough to stress me out to the point of making me abandon the game altogether. It's a real shame, too, because I otherwise really liked the game to that point. So my question is this. Jeff, I know you've expressed a fear of spiders in the past, so how did you handle that section of the game? And have there been any games that, despite you're otherwise liking them, were just too scary to get through? Thanks for answering my questions, and keep doing the great things you've been doing. Sincerely, Sean. P.S. I really enjoyed hearing Jeff on Junk Food Cinema's review of Furious 7. Also, Jeff, please get Martin Thomas to guest co-host something on Rage Select in the future, if it is at all possible. That is a crossover I'd just love to see in my lifetime. I think that the only time I've ever done anything with Martin was either on like One of Us, right, or when we did that fundraiser at Spill to go to E3, and he showed up for the 24-hour megathon. Yeah, I have to ask Martin. I don't know. I always get the impression that Martin Thomas is a busy man. I don't want to bother him.
Is, yeah, he does all of Corey's stuff, and he's got his own stuff and movie review stuff. I'm sure he would be glad to do it still. Just like he always seemed busy to me. Like, you know,
yeah.
I don't know. He recently went on a trip to Boston or something. I don't remember, something like that. He went on a road trip not that long ago.
So here's the thing. I look. So Michael, here is what the things in the tunnel are. These are these little. You can see these guys on my screen. There's these little motherfuckers, right? Yeah. These guys. I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't know why. I have no logic to tell you this, but scorpions don't freak me out. Spiders freak me out.
It's the extra legs.
It's I think it's the fact that scorpions have the tail that makes them look different. Scorpions also have the little pincers, right? Like spiders are just... Also, scorpions don't, build a web with which to catch you, immobilize you, paralyze you, and then eat you while you're still alive in. That's some spider bullshit right there. So this one was a little bit of a, I don't know, it was a little troublesome to me. early on, but then when I realized they were scorpions and not spiders, it was like my brain was like, nope, not afraid, don't care.
Shoot him in the face.
It's fine. There are a lot of webs in that section, though, and I'm not a big fan of them. Apparently, the scorpions make webs. I don't know. It wasn't really a problem for me. I'll tell you though, the thing the thing that freaks me out, and I really honestly don't know, but like, you know, when you're playing Skyrim and you're getting the little claw, right? It's like the second thing, you got to get the claw. And like part of getting the claw is you go up from Riverfuck and you go in this temple and there's a Draugr and you're fighting the Draugr, and then there's this one room and it's got a giant goddamn ice spider in it. And like, okay, no problem. On my TV, ice spider, no problem. Fus Roda, fire coming out of my hands. Fuck you, I'm Garfieldius. Like, the end. But when I was playing Skyrim in VR, and I got to the point where those spiders first, actually it wasn't even there, it was during the tutorial when you go down in the cave and the spiders show up and they start coming at you, and like to my brain there were like big dog-sized 3-dimensional spiders that were coming towards me, the person Jeff, and I was like, nope, I can't do that. That's too much for me. It's just made me want to tear the headset off and run away in terror. And that was like one of the few things where I was just like, no. And I don't think I can really play Skyrim, because I think if I see a spider, I'm just going to be like, no, Michael, come over. You got to kill the spider for me.
That's the thing I've always noticed about games, is that the only time I've ever been like super, super afraid of something involves VR. Because my brain is like, yeah, your brain's telling you like that thing is right in front of you. Like it's real.
That's a real thing
for you.
Yeah.
Like, because like a couple years back, I think it was a couple years back, Hilario showed up and he had the, that whatever that VR was for the Samsung thing that like you put on
Gear VR.
Samsung phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he had me play this like VR game that was this horror game that freaked him out a lot. He actually couldn't finish it, but I was scared shitless at first, but then I slowly started coming to terms with the enemies, because the way you get past it is you realize, oh, I'm in a video game. Like I have to figure that part out first, and then sort of start recognizing the patterns. Because there's this one enemy that like it would kill you if you weren't looking at it, which it was horrifying to look at. So he was like, I can't look at it. Eventually, I got to the point where I got into that mood where I'm like, don't you fucking come at me. Don't you fucking do it. Like when I was just like staring at it, you could see me like doing this to it kind of thing. Like even though like, you know, he couldn't see my hands kind of thing. But like he was surprised that I was able to do that. But like that's really the closest thing like I could say to try to getting past them, is just remember, just sort of take a deep breath and be like, this is a game. This isn't real. Like this isn't the middle of fucking Tron. Like it's not actually going to kill me. Kind of thing is like I'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'd just rather play Beat Saber like than overcome my spider fear. Like I don't give a shit. See, it's fine for me 90% of the time. It's just like, you know, I can play normal Skyrim. It's not like I got to that part in Skyrim and stopped playing Skyrim. I mean, fuck, that's the tutorial. Like, it's just in VR where my dumb mammal brain. There was another one that was like way back in the day, the Oculus like DK2, I think, where it was like, it was like you were sitting at a desk and you put on the VR headset and then you put your hands on the desk, and like the goal was not to move, and like it would just start doing things in this room to make you move. And one of the things that it would do was you would put your hands where the hands were, and a bunch of spiders would come up onto the desk and walk across your hands. And I was like, nope, no, thank you. I disagree. I mean, I could fight the ones on Grounded, right? Like I don't have to turn that on or anything, but not in VR. Not in VR. Patty who writes in and says, howdy do, Jeff and Michael. My work is gifting us a mandatory week of vacation time for our, quote, health. Actually, there's a week of building maintenance overdue that employees can't be present for. So, what has been your absolute favorite vacation? What would be your dream vacation without time or financial limitations? Thanks for keeping me sane. All the best, from Patty Who. What do you think, Michael?
I don't really have favorite vacations because I don't vacation that often. Like even when I was a kid, our vacations were like, let's go see the family in Eagle Pass, which is just going from one small town to another small town.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then every now and then it would like, I would go into the big city, as I would call them, which was just San Antonio and fucking at most Austin back in the day. Like Austin weirded me out when I was a kid. I was like, this place is fucking weird kind of thing. And then we mostly hung out in San Antonio for the most part. I don't really have like one that I can pinpoint that was my favorite vacation.
Okay.
I guess like even the ones I remember the most were just like, we got to go to a mall that was a lot bigger than ours. Kind of thing. Mm-hmm. If I had to be like, well, what would be my dream vacation nowadays though? Like, it's like, an adult who's lived in a big city for, a good long time now. I would love to, go to New York City, like Manhattan, all those. I would love to see those places. I would love to go, to Japan, see the Super Mario World thing that they made recently. I would love to see the Gundam and all the Gundam stuff and all the things that I'm really into Japanese animation wise, like show wise and stuff. Like I would love to be able to look at all that stuff. Like I think those would be my main things, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like if I had my druthers and could go anywhere, I mean, like it would, Japan would probably be first on my list, which is one of the reasons I want to try to get over there. But I don't know. I was thinking about trying to piggyback with Matt this year when he goes to Japan, but I don't know, man. Like the kind of the COVID over there is kind of fucking nuts. And also, aren't they doing the Olympics
insane, yeah.
this year? Like,
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're doing the Olympics this year.
Maybe next year go to Japan when things will calm down a little bit. But my favorite vacation was when I went to Europe. Because I went to Europe for a couple months and when I was a teenager, and it really just reshaped my entire outlook on life. Like I think that it is. People might roll their eyes, but I really do think that it's important to go to a whole other country and see that, like in other countries that are not the United States, people are fine. They're living their lives. They've got stores and cafes and nightclubs and fucking everything, almost everything that we've got over here. Like, I think that sometimes you get into this weird, people get into this weird perspective when it comes to America of just like, yeah, America, the greatest fucking country on the earth. Like assuming that the rest of the world is like the Fury fucking road or something. But like, it's not. Like you could go, they've got like sheets and towels and fucking juice and crackers, and like you could go walk a dog. You can look at a dog. You can look at they got trees and shit. Like it's all there.
It was all like the way it was before the internet, where you couldn't just like look up like a YouTube video of what France looks like. It used to be like myths kind of thing. It'd be like, oh, you heard, like it's like that fucking conversation in Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah,
where it's just like, yeah, you want to know what it's called? It's called a Royale with cheese. Like, well, that's fucking weird. Kind of like just like, yeah, like you could have said anything and I would have believed you, kind of thing. Like if you told me like, yeah, in France, they just shit on the ground sometimes. It's just weird. I'd be like, well, that's weird. I've never heard of that, but you saw it, I guess. Like, I wouldn't have questioned it because I'd have no way of finding out otherwise.
I think it's really interesting because when I went to Europe, our home base was in Amsterdam, and I remember there was like 3 or 4 different like pivotal experiences that I got when I was in Amsterdam. One was when we got there. We were staying with my friend's uncle and his husband at the time. And the first thing that they told us, the uncle was from the States. And he was like, hey, you guys are from the States. I just want to let you know, like, before you go and do stuff, here's some things you need to know. One of the things he told us was he was like, the cops are your friends. Like, if you go to the fucking coffee shop and you get too high and you need help, you can just go up to a cop and be like, officer, I'm too high to figure out where I live. Can you help me? And they will be like, yes. Do you know the address? Is there someone we can call? Et cetera, et cetera. That like you could just walk up to a police officer, unlike in America where, well, to be honest, I mean, I went there when I was like 21, but even then I was like, well, I'm on drugs. You got to stay away from the cops. Don't let the cops know you're on drugs, man. Whereas, like you could ask the cops for help and they would be kind of cool. They would be cooler. I don't know how it is now. I don't know if it's different now, but like in Amsterdam, that was one of the things that they told us was like, or I remember I went to A lot of these are drug related. I don't know why that is. Went to a smart store,
Amsterdam.
and I bought. You could just buy shrooms in Amsterdam. Like in addition to weed, you could just buy mushrooms. And I bought mushrooms, and I had them in this paper bag, and I had them tucked under my arm, and I was being like really furtive with them. And I was like walking down the street, and I was just like, oh shit, like looking around. I was really paranoid. And I was like, wait, hold on. I have a receipt in my bag with the logo and the address of the store that I bought these mushrooms from. Like they're in a package with a logo on it. They are a brand name. I have brand name drugs. So like if somebody's like, hey, where'd you get those drugs? I'll be like, it's right over there. Just like go down there, like go down 2 streets, take a right. And yeah, here's the logo. Here, I'll give you the receipt. It has the phone number and you can see how much the mushrooms cost. And it was just like, oh, you don't have to be afraid of carrying drugs around in this town. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So stuff like that. I think it's really cool to go other places and just see the way that people live, because I'm a really big fan of getting out of like your headspace, right? Of like, you've got a way that you think that things are, but they're not always that way. Sometimes you go somewhere else and you'd be like, oh, look, here's a different way, and it works just fine. It's not a problem. Hey, look at that. I mean, they have their own problems, but, you know, like, it's not the fucking Fury Road. Like,
no.
That whole thing.
People in Europe looked at Texas, and they all assumed it was fucking, you know, Western as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's that part in that whole Pulp Fiction monologue where he talks about how they put mayo on the fries in Holland, but it's not like the thing is that like it's very, I've had them, it's incredibly tasty mayo in the United States is garbage. It tastes like it's very basic and it has very little flavor, but in Amsterdam, like the mayo is like it's almost like I don't know, it's just got a very creamy like consistency, and it tastes good. It has its own specific taste that is not just like, it's not just sandwich lube. It like is a condiment, you know. Like they make these big fuck off pancakes in Holland, like super flat pancakes, and you go to a place, you get them, and they'd put stuff inside of them. Like the way they made their pancakes was they would take the batter and they would put like eggs and bacon like inside of the batter while it was cooking. So you'd get a pancake that had it, and then they would give you, instead of syrup, like this super dark treacle, like a really super thick syrup, and then like powdered sugar on top. But then you could get one that was like fish. It was like fish inside of a pancake with syrup on it. The shit was great. It was so good. And I was like, fish and syrup? But then you look around and everybody else there is just like, nom, nom, nom. And you're like, hey, when in Rome, you know? And hey, so. When I asked for questions, Grant Davis wrote a question in. He wrote, I once saw Puppet Jeff fit a whole hand up his butt. That's a lot. And got me wondering, how much can Jeff truly fit up his butt? Puppet Jeff can fit a lot. Regular Jeff,
so much.
I don't know. I have never attempted to see. I've never been all that curious about what can go into my butt. So
you gotta get those seeds, Jeff. You gotta get those seeds.
Get them way up in there. It always reminds me of there's this. You know, Louis C.K. is problematic. He has his own thing, but there's an episode of the TV show. I was a really big fan when they had the TV show where he's having this like fantasy or a dream or something where he's in an elevator and there's like an Asian dude and there's this really hot lady and she has this bag of, it's just like a plastic bag. He's like, what's in the bag? And she's like, oh, it's dicks. And he looks in there. It's just like, oh yeah, it's like a whole bunch of dicks. And she's like, could you do me a favor? Could you take these and could you just shove them like right up my butt? Could you just get them all in there? And he's like, I don't know if these will all fit in there. And she's like, no, trust me, they'll all fit there. It's just like a very surreal segment that always just made me laugh so hard because it was just like very weird. I don't know.
Louis used to be like the fucking thing for a long time, and then
it was good.
It happened.
Yeah,
like it was supposed to get another season, and then everything happened. So yeah.
Yep. Oops. Wait. Don't go to Resident Evil spoilers. I haven't finished that game yet.
It's like, what are you doing?
All right, Discord. Let's see if we can do some Discord questions. Kate Josie wrote in and said, "Dear Jeff and Michael, I have been playing The Surge 2 for a good little while now, but I like it. But unlike other games, I tried Dark Souls many years ago and couldn't figure it out. I'm sure I'd have very little problem now since I'm a little bit more patient. The thing that got me with The Surge 2 was the fact that when I died, I felt that I could avoid the mistake that got me killed as dismembering and decapitating, enemies for parts. Very Mortal Kombat. Even with bosses, I go from yelling at the game, "What the fuck do you want from me?" to "Okay, I got it," to "What up now, bad guy?" The key for me is not getting greedy with attacks and to back off and parry. Since Neo 2 is on PS Now, I downloaded it. I'm ready to play it. Am I a Souls-like convert? What's happening to me? Am I maturing? Is this how you felt when you first got the hang of Souls and Souls-like games? Thanks for answering my question whenever you get to it, from Kate Josie. So, Michael, you have not, you've never gotten to that point, have you?
Well, I did with Bloodborne. I really liked Bloodborne at one point, and I started to kind of understand it. But I never tried going back into the other games from there. Like even though I probably should have, kind of thing, from that point. But that was like the closest I ever did to that, was like getting really into Bloodborne and kind of understanding why people liked it. And so I was like, oh, I get this. But like I could never find myself getting into the other ones for some reason.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like, it's like, I think that it's interesting how Soulsborne is kind of its own genre, right? Like, just because you like a third-person action game doesn't mean that you're going to be into a Soulsborne game, because they have different aesthetics. And then just like playing a first-person shooter, right? Like you get used to it, and it becomes a thing where there are mechanical vagaries in Souls games that once you get a handle on them, you no longer have to think about it the same way that you know, when you're playing a first-person shooter, you get the L2, R2, square to reload, click the stick in to dash, those kind of standard control set that once you've integrated that into your play style, you don't have to think your way through that. That part is instinct, or a fighting game, right? Like people that are good at fighting games, they internalize the moves, and then it's just a question of making your mind react to the threat instead of trying to kind of figure out the pace. And once you played enough Souls games, you can really just kind of jump in and be like, oh, I see how it goes here. And even with something like maybe Sekiro, Sekiro is different, but it has, or Bloodborne even, has enough DNA in common with Souls games that once you kind of have that skill built up, it's easier to bop back and forth. The same way that if you got really good at Street Fighter, you would have a leg up going over to, Guilty Gear, right? Like you would have the basics. So yeah, I mean, it's just like anything. Like you practice at it, and then you get good. Like that's why they say get good, noob. I'm sorry, this is bad. This is super bad of me, but that's what they mean. I mean, the main thing, like in Souls games, right? The first time you go in and you meet a new boss, you're like, oh my god, and then you fight it, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, and then you finally get to the point where you're not even like, yeah, bring it on, but like it. Once you get to my level, Michael, you just fucking stone-faced. Like, just there's no reaction. This is Ornstein and Smo. I've done this fight 1 billion times. Like, I know how to fucking get over here, Pikachu. Let's do this. And then once you pass that point, like when you're doing, what's the meme with the different brains exploding into different
different intelligences or whatever.
When you get to the bottom of that, that's when I come home from the bar, fucking 8 beers and 2 shots, put X Gonna Give It To You on repeat, and play the first third of Dark Souls without getting hit one time. And if I get hit, I just start over because I'm like, I'm better than this. So yeah, just gotta try it out. Go try it out. IT Johan writes in and says, well, Jeff and Michael, When was the last time you had a massive belly-aching laughter? Just a real rafflecopter. My last was a phone update scene in Mitchell vs. the Machines. The fear the animators created in the eyes of the dad is a fear I've seen again and again when my parents and grandparents asked me to update their computer or phone. The absurd terror data dinosaurs got when the technology is presenting an update or another aberration from the norm is something I always find hilarious. As an addendum, what is a joke or topic which will almost always get you laughing? Kind regards, and that's from IT Johan. What do you say, Michael? What do you got recently?
It was a lot of that movie, The Mitchells versus Machines. Like that movie fucking killed me from how fucking funny it was. Like I was just dying constantly. Like every time. Like, and a lot of them involved the jokes with the dad, because I've gotten to the point where I've now seen my dad become that guy, especially since he was a guy who works with his hands a lot, or he is a guy who works with his hands a lot. So like that moment where like he, like the last time I lost it in that movie is the part where he's like, yeah, I figured out how to subscribe to you on YouTube, and it cuts to him just like going like this over and over again, and just like, and then he's crying
screaming
in the corner and shit.
Yep.
It's just the funniest. It was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, and that movie is so good. If any of you guys have not seen it, it's just fantastic.
Holy shit! I forgot about that. They remade The Witches last year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That happened. Just looking through like movies. You know what? I think the last time when I get really drunk, I will I'll just watch, like, I'll find a scene and watch it over and over again. I was telling Michael last time I got drunk, I watched a real smorgasbord of bullshit. I watched I watched one of Internet Comment Etiquette's Raycon ads like a couple times because that shit is hilarious.
Those are really funny.
I loaded up Disney Plus and I just watched the part in Thor Ragnarok where Thor talks about Loki tried to kill him when he was a kid and he turns into a snake.
Story?
And I picked up a snake because he knows that I like snakes. And then he was like, it's me. And then he stabbed me. And like, I wanted
like we were 10 or something is what he says.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to put it online. I don't know. See, Michael, you know how every so often I'll get really obsessed with a movie and just watch it over and over and over and over again?
Yeah.
I think that Ragnarok I already have watched over and over again, but I was watching this last week and I was looking at this, and the funny thing about this scene, if you've never watched it, is that everybody, it's like Thor tells this story, but everybody, when he tells this story, has a different like reaction and facial expression and things. Like Tessa Thompson is kind of doing this thing where she like moves her head back and forth, and then like Eric Bana is like, no, and he's like, oh man, he's like super into this story, and like,
did you call him Eric Bana by the way?
No, Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo. Eric Bana was the Hulk before that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was 2003 Hulk or whatever.
But like, they all have such great like reactions to this, like even Thor telling the story and he's like super into it, and just like it's such a great scene. I must have rewound and watched this just like, I don't know, 10 or 15 times, because
also the smile on Loki's face at the end of the story is just like, he's like, yeah, that was a good time kind of thing.
It's also just the fact that the story itself is so ridiculous, because he's tried to kill me many times, and he's like, one time he turned into a snake, and you're like, oh, he tried to kill him as a snake. He's like, because he knows how much I like snakes, and so I went to pick the snake up, and then he transformed back, and he was like, it's me, and then he stabbed me. We were
because you're expecting it. You're expecting it to be like, oh, he bit me as a snake or something.
Yeah,
not expecting him to be like, it's me, and then stab him.
Yeah,
it's just like,
it's
what?
Such a great fucking. It's just great. I think the last time, maybe before that, I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. It has so many times that it's just made me sit here in my house laughing at the TV. I love the just everything with Guillermo. I love it's so
Guillermo.
Yeah, I love when the other two can't remember his name or whatever.
Gizmo.
I love stupid jokes, Mike. I love really stupid jokes. I loved the fucking, what was it? Jackie Daytona or whatever.
Human bartender.
I loved it so much. I loved the fact that Mark Hamill couldn't tell, like, that nobody else, it wasn't disguised to anybody else, but vampires are so fucking stupid that, like, Mark Hamill comes in and spends half the episode talking to him when he's got the toothpick in his mouth and he's Jackie Daytona, and then at the end he, like, takes the toothpick out and he's like, Laszlo, you son of a bitch. And it's like,
It was you the whole time.
like, yeah,
Like,
man, fucking, yeah.
A lot of that I think of all constantly. I constantly
so
think of
good.
that show so often nowadays, and with Wellington Paranormal, that's just added to it.
It's so fucking good. It's so goddamn good. Like, yeah, those
Voice
are.
activation, voice accepted. Beep.
I mean,
Just staring at it.
just the superb owl party.
Yes.
Like,
the fucking Neighbors Ocean's 12 collection.
yeah,
Like, I just lose it. It's just like the weirdest shit that happens in that show.
yeah. I they
The
have
last person who made a terrible orgy, I'm not even going to say his name. You know what? I'm going to say his name. Fuck him. His name is Mike.
they had the one where they fight the werewolves. He just throws the dog toy over the side of the building, and then the werewolf jumps off the building. It's a fucking stupid.
Is it cool if we keep the toy? Yeah, that's
yeah,
fine.
man. Yeah.
Everyone spread out. We can find that toy.
Yeah, it's great. I love that show. It's really fucking hilarious. Like, I've been watching How I Met Your Mother, and I'm obviously into the later seasons. And How I Met Your Mother was never like a super guffawing. It's an amusing show. It's not
There's
like
a gag from How I Met Your Mother that I will laugh at every fucking time,
yeah.
which is somebody saying classic schmosby.
Oh,
I will laugh every fucking time somebody says classic schmosby. Like, I'll be on, like, the comment section of a Reddit, and somebody will just be like, I love you, and it'll be like, classic schmosby, and I just fucking lose it every goddamn time.
yeah. And also, I'm into the part of that show where it started to become more and more irritating of just like, oh, look, Barney is proposing to Robin. Oh, good. The second
They're more
time.
insane, like, characters than they were in, like, at that point. Like, that's the point where Robin just yells at her coworker
At Patrice.
every time.
Yeah.
It's like, no one asked you, Patrice. It's just like,
It's
what
like,
the fuck?
What's wrong with you? Like, Patrice didn't fucking do anything, Robin. Like,
Exactly. It's like, what? Although there's some great gags still from How I Met Your Mother that I always think about to this day. Like like every time he tries to talk about weed, he's like, sandwiches.
oh, yeah.
We just had a lot of sandwiches that day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But I stuff like that. I mean, the Thor Ragnarok really gets me. I really love that movie. And I guess maybe it's one of the reasons why the Loki show isn't like really doing it for me, because, like, again, I rewound the one scene with I think the writing in the fucking Thor Ragnarok is better than the writing in Loki, and I mean, I liked it.
It's just
better.
they're different stories is really what it comes down to.
People just say that when something is worse than the other thing.
Yes, 2003 Hulk is just slightly different than other Hulks. It's a different story.
It's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, that's our show. I am now way past my bedtime, so it's time to go to bed.
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't know what time it was.
Mail@ragesite.com is the email address. Michael, tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on oneofus.net. We recently came out with a new review for Die in a Gunfight, which I really liked, and I think you would too.
Okay. I don't know what that even is, but
It's a movie.
I'll have to go look it up. That's it. That's all. We're done. I'm going to go watch that Thor Ragnarok scene like 11 more times before I go to bed, because it's just the best.